What is up,
Hey,
Ralph?
I'm on the Rexer show.
I know it's been a while since you streamed. What is going on?
What's up? How are you?
I'm good. Let's go, says Kev
It's
Gret.
Friday. This Friday is a good day.
Friday is a good day. So
I'm drinking
the
my
wife,
diet beer over here.
there you go. The wife let you do a show with me, which
She
I'm
actually got upset
appreciative.
She
Tell
got
her
upset
thank
that-
you.
She got upset because she's like, "Does he think that I don't let you stream? Is that why you asked that?" I was like, "No, he's just trying to be respectful of," because she's like, "He's gonna think that I don't." I'm like, "No, he doesn't think that. He's just being courteous." I was like, so we're good.
If she says no, then whatever. We reschedule or something, I don't know.
Exactly.
I got to do the same thing with my wife. So I got to plan ahead, hey, is it okay? That type of thing. So, but we're going to, at least three things we're going to talk about. So
Okay.
we're going to talk about Amico real quick. The T2,
Oh, boy.
there's some new news on the T2 Arcade 1-Up, which is
Yeah.
crazy. And then we're going to talk about Chasing Nostalgia, where I got to be a part of it. Thank you very
that was
much.
really fun.
And there's a lot of, I won't say, there's a few funny things that happened when I was with you that you didn't do an after show, so we didn't get to talk about them. But anyway, my position on the Amico. I haven't heard you say anything about the Amico recently. No videos, no shorts, no rants. So go ahead, tell everybody what your position
So I didn't even ever plan on talking about it. Actually, I just kind of was one of those silently, I'm going to pre-order it and never really talk about it. I think the only other time I talked about it was on your show when you asked a while back.
Yeah. But you have it ordered.
My current feelings is it seems like they're in big trouble. No, I have it pre-ordered. Yeah. But it seems like they're in big trouble to me. I don't know how. I mean, if you just look at like the basic mathematics of it, it doesn't look like a good thing.
No, it doesn't. So, but you have the option to take your money back if you want.
I think I'm going to. It's really kind of, it was funny. I'll admit this. When Kev Gret would go on his rants about the Amico, I was one of the people that really, truly believed. I was like, nah, it's going to be fine. And then when I saw the latest, and I wasn't like too strong in that position, but I was kind of like, it's going to be okay. And then when I saw the latest stuff, I'm all, okay, that's kind of hard. When you're $8 million in the hole and you don't even have a product yet, and you're also don't really have a huge user base that pre-ordered it, like, I don't know where the money's going to come from. I mean, you got to make money somehow, and they don't even have anything out there making money other than those boxes with nothing in them.
They got right. They have no income after that. Those orders are done. People who wanted them ordered them, and that's done. But yeah, Ralph does have it pre-ordered. They have no cash. We know that.
So
what's
worse about my pre-order though, Rexer, is that mine isn't like mine wasn't the one from Amico where you put $100 down. I want to say mine was like the whole amount.
You put the whole amount down?
I think so, because I think I did mine through GameStop, and I think with GameStop you had to put the whole amount. I think I got to double check that, but regardless, I have to get the refund.
Regardless, you have an Amico on order, and
it needs to stop.
And that money might not ever come back. But I forgot, like when I did my show last time, I did this movie about the Polka King, and this guy Jan Levin, who was a crook. He was a con artist. He had a Ponzi scheme, right? And I wanted to tie it into the Amico, but I forgot. And there's this one part in the movie where this lady who was really skeptical, and she told all her friends, "Why are you investing with Jan Levin? He's all he has is a polka band. How is he getting you money?" So at the end of the movie, it all comes crashing down like it will for the Amico. It all comes crashing down, and she runs into her friends who she warned, and they start yelling at her saying, because it was her son who was the one who was doing the Ponzi scheme. They start yelling at her about her son, your son this, your son that. And she just goes off on him and goes, "Nobody told you to invest with him." And then they're like, "You're crazy. You're a crazy lady." And she goes, "I still got my money." And she just is screaming at him. And I keep thinking about the people who didn't invest. They still got their money. Smash JT, everybody else still has their money. So I just thought it was so funny. I never showed that part, but all right, here we go.
When you really break it down though, I guess when you really break down that console, was that really a console that we even really needed? You know what I mean? Like, did we even really need it?
But you've bought, Ralph, didn't you buy Poly Mega? Didn't you buy Pie Packer? Don't you still have Pie Packer? Don't you have I don't even know the crap you buy.
I have the other one too, the one that's the one that's overseas that I have is really good, by the way. It's like the Pie Packer competitor, and I can't think of the name of it right now. That one's awesome. That's the one I was telling you about, where you can jump on and do like challenges on retro games.
Yeah, I don't
Did
remember
I ever tell you about that one? It's called Antstream.
Oh, Antstream?
Yeah, Antstream is actually really cool. Yeah, Antstream's really neat.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the clickbait tools level 1. I have no clue what the clickbait do. I just hit go live.
But you know how many, like, I didn't realize. I was listening to Pat and Ann, and I was like, holy crap, there's a lot of psycho, crazy Amico people, and I don't really get it. Like, how can you be so crazy for something that does it literally they've never even touched yet? Like, they're crazy about something they don't even know anything about yet, really, other than what Tommy tells them. It's crazy.
It's so funny because some people are crazy on this thing sucks, it's a piece of crap, but there's other crazoids on the other side who are like, oh, this thing's still not really anymore. I think a lot of people have woken up, but
yeah, I think so too.
Talk about the dude in the hot tub, man. This is I can't stand Smash JT, and I'm not going to bring that into it. But I don't get the hot tub thing. I don't even watch his channel, to tell you the truth. It's just people tell me.
Well, you mean there's not going to be like a Rexer from the hot tub edition or anything? No, we're not getting that.
No,
oh, that's a bummer.
Buddy said somebody's doing a spoof. They're going to do it from their bathtub in the bath with just taking a bath.
I would feel personally, nothing against Smash JT, but I would feel really weird doing a live stream from a hot tub. But hey,
I would
whatever.
too.
To each his own.
To each their own. Go for it, Smash. Go for it. Oh, all right. So, no Amico. Let's talk T2. Tell everybody what you did today.
Oh, man.
Tell them how you at least. Well, go ahead. I don't even want to.
So I sometimes curiosity gets the best of you. I've pretty much, like, as you know, I've sold off all the 1-ups. I pretty much have moved past those and just not really interested in it anymore. But when I saw T2, it made me think about the original cabinet. I was like, man, the original cabinet just has so many things about it that make it really cool. Like, it's got this really neat glass or a mirror that's reflective on one side, and then it has this silk screen on the other, so that if something gets past you and it hits you, it shows an explosion. It's really cool. So there's just a lot of neat elements. The gun, the solenoid in the gun, because it was a Midway game, Bally Midway, they still used a lot of the Bally technology. So they used some of these crazy, really strong solenoids for the force feedback. So I was just like, are they really going to be able to do this? And curiosity got the best of me. And I'm like, I'm going to buy it just to see. Like, it was literally a science project. Like, will it be good?
Yeah. And now that you've put it together, you kind of got your money's worth of spending and doing a comparison. So tell what happened with it. Tell what happened with the comparison you did. Now, I want to preface this by saying, literally, you just put it together, right? Today,
I just put it together today.
So literally, the minute you put it together, you either text me or call me and said, something is wrong with this.
Dude,
like, literally from the point you turned it on. And
I turned it on and I pressed the start button. Like, I did a couple of settings. I calibrated the gun and I pressed the start button, and immediately I was like, holy crap. Because I'm thinking, why does the soundtrack sound so slow? Like, because it was right away. I play it a lot because I have the original one. Like, I'm a big fan of the game. So immediately I'm all, whoa, this sounds, like you said, it sounds like when you would hold down like the pause, or, you're not pressing your play button all the way on a tape deck. So it's not going as fast. Yeah, so it's not going as fast. It's bad. And then there's I feel like there's different levels of people that get kind of anal about certain things with retro gaming. But when you see a lot of like screen tearing, which is this like, like the images don't line up sometimes, it kind of takes away from the fun of it. So not only was it slow, then it was doing screen tearing, and the Sinden gun works okay, but it still kind of feels a little bit like you're dragging the cursor a little bit, and that kind of takes away from some of the fun of it. I don't know. It just...
I just think it didn't take you long at all. Like, it didn't take you long to go, oh, something's wrong here, which was crazy.
It was like immediately.
It's like, well, come on. Even if you do emulation and you're an arcade lover of a game, sometimes you got to play it for a while before you go, like Killer Arcade Games, when he did his T2 or his Killer Instinct, right? He had to play it for a little bit before he went, I think it's too slow. And it was too slow. He started a game at the exact same time, and he let the match run down, the timer, from like 90 seconds. And when it was done, Arcade 1-Up was 1 to 2 seconds behind the real arcade. So there was slowdown there, but even like he didn't notice that at first, but it's so bad on this T2 that you noticed it like that.
Oh, it was right away. Yeah, I mean the slowness part you can tell right away. Now it did do I was worried about. I was like, oh, maybe there's an update, but it did the update and it didn't change anything. So as soon as I booted it up, it did an update. So I was like, all right, well I'm on the current firmware, so it's not, or the current software, so it's not like, it's a software update thing or something. But yeah, I mean, it's just not good.
Okay. Well, I want to say hello to this guy, I guess new person. Smell my finger. And Schmidt, thanks for joining, man. I will not build you an arcade. It takes too much work, and you've got to stop asking. He keeps asking. What did you have?
One more thing. I was going to tell you one more thing. The building of it takes a lot longer to build these now than it did before. A lot longer.
Well,
it probably took me, I mean, the old ones, I used to be able to put together the old ones in like 40 minutes, like maybe even 30 if I was rushing through it. But they made it so that, how like you'll build one of those furniture, like when you build stuff from IKEA, and maybe it's got one side and then you have to put all the boards in, and then you got to kind of align the top part with all the dowels and stuff.
Yep.
Well,
you don't want to miss one peg. You don't want to miss one because it'll
Well, in the old version of the product, once it was all built, you slid the front panel in, and now the panel has to sit in, and you not only do you have to get all the dowels in, but you got to make sure like all these panels that kind of flop around can get in, including the marquee. So they're actually kind of a pain in the ass to build now. So they were easy to build, and now I'd argue they're a little bit more difficult. But does it make it more
sturdy? Are they more sturdy now than they were? Or no, it's the same.
I would say no, because the bottom panel, just like the Big Blue, it's a separate panel. So they wanted it to be taller, but they wanted to make sure it's fit in the same box. So they probably make it as one sheet, and then they CNC cut it, and then you have to reattach it. So if anything, I think it'd probably be less sturdy now than it was before. But
yeah, right. Rudy Roundhouse has a bunch of 1-ups, so he knows.
It was not a 3.5 hour build time. He's making fun of me because he was on the phone with me, and I'm like, why am I doing this? This is ridiculous. Like, I was all upset while I was doing it. So,
wait a second though. You said the guns. Can we talk about the guns on the T2? You were going to have a demonstration.
This is the gun right here. So this is it. It's got
What is that?
That's the gun.
That's a gun?
I'm sorry. This is the gun, but honestly, they don't look that much different, do they?
That's terrible.
This one's a squirt gun over here, and this one's a regular one. They don't look
I didn't know.
different.
I thought the one that you first said was a squirt gun was the squirt gun. I mean,
really?
Oh, yeah.
I will say this though. I'm holding the wrong.
You are
one.
not
That's
making
funny.
1-up friends right now, Ralph. You're not making any
sorry.
1-up friends.
I will say this though. The mold is exact. Like all of the little, everything on the side is exact. I mean, this obviously isn't there because this is a button to turn that solenoid off, but the whole mold is exact. The only thing that's different is the front of it. So like these components are bigger, like the barrel of the gun is bigger.
For the camera or something, yeah.
Yeah, but like this whole side,
it doesn't look as big though. Like if you put them side by side, it doesn't look as big as the T2 gun.
It's not. So like, this, all right. It's got like another almost 1.5 inches on the real one. So yeah, but and you got to think about it. The butt of the gun right here, this has another piece of. So this has the metal rod from the actual. Yeah, but I mean, if these were black. And they put sometimes with components like this they'll put weights inside it to give it a more sturdy feel. Yeah. If they had done that, it probably wouldn't feel as toy like, but it does feel very much like a toy. It's very light. So.
All right. So what's with all these other arcade 1-up T2 reviews that say this thing is awesome? You're saying the guns suck. I don't know. Okay. The guns suck. There's lag in the video. There's lag in the audio. The thing runs slow. When you did the video, the first thing I saw when those projectiles were coming at you, when they throw things at you, I'm like, what? That looks slow. Like what is going on here? And you were like, yeah, the whole thing runs slower. So
I have a theory, but I don't really know the technical. I don't know how to put it all together because I'm not. I don't know. I don't know all the details of that stuff. So I know Midway PCBs, a lot of them, they don't run at 60 hertz. They run at like 53.20 or something like that. So there's that factor. So I don't know how they get around that because it doesn't run at 60 hertz and the screen on the arcade 1-up runs at 60 hertz. So I don't know how you reconcile that. Like I know there are MAME versions where you can force it, but if you force it into 60, then it runs too fast. So if you have a game like Mortal Kombat is a good example. If you have Mortal Kombat and you force it to 60 hertz, it'll get rid of the scrolling issues, but the game runs a little bit faster than you're used to. So in this case, it's running slower. So I don't know if they're like running it at 50 hertz. I don't know what they did, but they did something that messed it up. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure.
There's no nostalgia there now for that game when you play it. It doesn't look anything like the original. I gotta say, Papa Brad's is right. I mean, he's being
Papa
open
Brad's
and
been
honest
saying this
here.
for a long time. Papa Brad was a big time. It's gonna suck. He was like, it's not gonna be good. He didn't say it that way, but he was like, it's not gonna be good for these reasons. So he was dead on. Same with Kev Grit.
Dead on, man. It's nothing like the original. Plays okay, but I haven't played the original in a long time. So Conti has one.
You want to know what makes it more pleasurable? To be honest, and this is gonna sound stupid, I played it with the sound off. With the sound off, you don't notice it. If you play it with the sound off, you actually don't notice it so bad. With the sound off, it's not bad. But I might be
that's crazy.
The fact that I played this game so much, it was really easy for me to detect it. But I would think that you can just tell in the soundtrack it's slow. You know what I mean? Like I would think most people, if you played it recently, you'd definitely look at it really quick.
You'd know, yeah, based on Ralph's comparison. It looks flawless.
And I didn't mean to do it to be like a jerk or make anyone mad. I really did it just to draw awareness to the fact that there's an issue.
Yeah, but when I saw those videos, I wrote you and I said, this is how bad it was. I said, Ralph, you must be using like a different mic for each machine. I'm like, this just sounds awful on when you do it on the 1-up. I'm like, did you switch your microphones?
You know, I will say it actually doesn't sound that bad. The microphone for some reason was picking up. It might be because the arcade game is like really loud and the speakers are right on top. So maybe it was just a tad louder and so it sounds better. But the 1-up one, the soundtrack when it's, even though it's slow, it doesn't sound bad for the speakers they have.
Yeah. Sound off and put the T2 soundtrack CD. Turn the sound. Yeah.
Actually, that'd be kind of cool. Wasn't there like there was like a good Guns N' Roses track on that. You Could Be Mine. Wasn't that the name of that song?
Yes.
That soundtrack's actually really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, all right. Any other questions on T2 for the people in the chat? I don't know. What else you got on T2? Anything? What are you going to do with it? Let me ask you that.
I don't know. Honestly, now, well, now
no one's sell it.
Now no one's going to want to buy it.
They're going to be like, you're selling it? Yeah, you're the guy that trashed it, man. You said this thing sucks. Why would I buy it now?
I don't know, dude. My intent was never to keep it. I was only doing it to, I literally in my brain, I was like, or in my mind, I'm like, I'm buying it. I'm going to check it out. I want to compare it. And I wasn't even going to do a video on it. But then when I saw that, I'm all, oh my gosh, like I got to do a video on this. So, I don't know. I don't know what else to really say about it. At first, the Sinden, I think I was too close. So there's also like a sweet spot for the Sinden, which is weird because I've used the regular Sinden light gun and I thought it worked really good. But for this screen and everything, you kind of have to have like, there's like a distance.
That's no good, Ralph. That's not good. You have to be a certain distance.
You really do. No, you really do. Like you can't really be up close. But I think that's because if you think about it, right, the way Sinden works, like the camera's right here, right? So the camera has to be able to see that whole white box. If it can't, then it doesn't know where you're pointing within the white box.
Yes.
So now you can rectify that because some people will put on Gun for IR gets around that by putting fisheye lenses on this. So if you're close, the fisheye lens still sees the sensors. So that's like a kind of a cool idea that they came up with. They don't do that with Sinden, so you kind of have to be a certain distance or else it just really won't work.
Well, look at this. You were saying something about the gun and like like it was stuttering or something. Am I wrong? Or is the cursor also slower? You were saying something about that.
I'd say it feels a little bit. So this is one of those things that's hard to compare because when you play the real one, it's on a it's just potentiometer. So like it's a controller where when you move the joystick or when you move the handle of the gun to move around, it's like pressing on or it's moving a potentiometer right and left. Yeah. So it's smooth though. It's pretty smooth, but this does feel like a little jerky, like not as smooth. Yeah.
That's
jerky might not be the right word, but it's just not as smooth.
Dreamcast Kyle has a tip for you. Move the carpet thing that you
Wait,
get.
was I supposed to get a fatigue mat?
You didn't get a fatigue? I don't know.
No,
I thought they came with fatigue mats now. I don't know.
No, I think that's I think that's KI. I think that's KI. That's awesome.
Okay.
Now we're gonna start a tweet. I didn't get my fatigue mat, and everyone's gonna get all pissed off. They're gonna just
be like,
everyone's
no
gonna be
fatigue
pissed.
mat, and Ralph's KI.
Rexer said it came with a
he-
fatigue
no, he
mat, and I didn't get it.
Well, if you're still like, who was it? Mike of all trades doesn't have his deck protector. He's waiting for that. How's it hard?
What was
is
that?
It to,
What was that? It didn't come with it.
didn't
or
come
it
with
broke?
a deck protector. There's so many things. It's ridiculous. I don't even. All right. So after, let's talk about chasing nostalgia, because I like I said, I got to be in it, and Mason was there, and you guys didn't do an after show. Okay. So why didn't you do an after show this time?
Well, because the way it worked out with like the way I had to pick up my son and he had football, it was like I was nervous that I was gonna not be able to make it. And you guys know sometimes I'm not good at picking them up. So I wanted to make sure that I was able to coordinate all that. So that's the reason why we didn't do it. But we were gonna do it, but that's the reason. We'll probably do one later down the road because I think we should.
Well, yeah, you guys should, because you guys got some stories to tell about the amusement park, I'm sure. And I have some stories to tell about.
We had to ride that ride, Rexer. We had to ride that ride like 6 or 7 times to get that take right, because every time the first one time it was the perfect take. And when I put the lap bar down, it shut my mic off. So only Mason's mic was on. And I was like, God damn it. Because it was the best take we had. So we had to like figure it out.
How did you get the one take where was the guy on like the beam and you guys were coming down and there was already a camera? There was like already a camera there.
That
what was
Mason.
that?
Mason's drone was in the air. He launched the drone. Yeah,
and it was hovering that whole time?
We left the drone hovering. That was really cool, actually.
Oh my gosh.
Mason's very, very good at drone. Like he has his drone license, which you need anyway now, but he flies his drone awesome. Like I've seen him navigate some pretty tight spaces and I'm like, man, he's really good at flying his drone.
Yeah. Did you guys have the whole park to yourselves?
So they don't open the rides till 5 p.m. So we didn't have he assigned us like a ride attendant, and that attendant would be with us. So if we wanted to go do something before the ride started at 5.
Yeah.
But the park was open. Like people were playing mini golf and people were in the arcade, but we were there pretty early. And so like people aren't really there at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, but by noontime, like it started to fill in and stuff.
Okay. It did look fun.
It's a pretty fun place. Like it probably looks bigger than it is on camera, but for being one of the only like amusement park type places in Phoenix, it's pretty fun.
Yeah. So you talked about the drone, man, and I got to tell the story of the drone in Vegas. So
okay, yeah.
Everybody in the chat. So Mason has a drone.
An argument.
Oh, it was hilarious. And Mason has this drone, and we go to the Pinball Hall of Fame, and Ralph's like, "Hey, we got to get this sign on the drone, man. This would be awesome." And Mason's like, "Ralph, there's an airport. Literally, the airport is adjacent. There's a fence.
You can hear like the jet engines.
Like yes, and you could literally like I could almost walk over and touch across the fence all these airplanes, and because it was literally an airport.
It's right there, yeah.
It's right there. And Mason's like, Ralph, I don't think I can do it here. You get a fine. And Ralph's like, yeah, if it was my drone, I'd just fly it, man. I don't care. So he's kind of like guilting Mason into feeling bad about it. And then Mason's
I learned that from my mother, by the way.
I'm the one who gets the fine. And he's like, so what? Who cares? Who cares about a little fine,
Yeah, but then he looked up what the fine was, and I was like, well.
Then he gets on this app. He's like, there's this app, man. It tells you where all the red areas.
No, I had to tell him. He forgot about that because I'm like, isn't there like an app that tells you where you can fly? And he's like, oh yeah, there's an app.
There's this app. He's like, yeah, there's an app. And he's like, let me bring it up. And he's like, he brings it up, and there's like this huge red circle all around us. And he's like, see, Ralph, it's restricted airspace. That's red. I'm like, he's like, you don't even see red. It's so bad. Usually it's just yellow or something. He's like, this strictly says and then he's like, $5,000 fine. And so
I changed my tune once. He told me $5,000 fine. I'm like, okay.
Okay. So then I got to tell the next story that comes out. So So you guys go in, and you're going to laugh at this one because this is the way I took it. You guys go in and you get separated, and I'm in there with Ralph, and me and Ralph are just chatting, nothing's going on. And Mason comes running over to us. Guys, and he's like panicking. Like we see this fear. We see this fear in his face, and we're getting all worried. I'm like, what's wrong? And he's like, I can't film in here. I can't film. The guy won't let me film. And he's going like he couldn't even explain it. Like, I saw the panic in his eyes. What do you remember about that?
Well, then I get really like, when I'm in filming mode, I kind of probably turn into a little bit of a jerk. Like, what do you mean you can't film? I'm like, not stupid. I'm like, look, there's a guy right there with a camera. I'm like, did he say he can't film? So I'm like, Mason, you're over exaggerating. So I'm kind of down. Like, I'm basically it's like when your kid comes up to you and cries wolf all the time and you don't believe him. But then the one time he comes up to you, he's actually telling you the truth. And you're like, yeah, fine, kid. So I was like, oh, Mason, you're good. Don't worry about it. It's fine. And then so Mason at this point's getting rid of his camera, right? Yeah. Like, he's putting it back to the car.
He's like, what do I do? I'm going to take it back to the car. And then he's like, this whole thing is shot. And then Ralph's like, Ralph, you were staying calm the whole time. You're like, yeah, this kind of sucks. You're like, this is going to blow the whole thing. But then Ralph's like, walks out there, and Ralph's like, F this, man. He's like, we're going to film. I don't care. But that was the funny thing.
But I had to convince Mason that was okay, though, because so Mason is very much like, he's pretty much like a rule. I'm a rule follower too, to a point, though. When it comes to like filming, if I have something in my mind, I'll try to do it no matter what. And Mason was just like, no. The guy said no, we can't do it. But the guy also was pretty like, he was telling Mason, read the sign. Did you not see the sign? It says you're not supposed to film here. And anyway, so what I did tell Mason, though, is Mason goes, he said to him, if you're a professional photographer, you can't film. And I'm like, well, you told him you're not professional, right? He's like, no. I go, well, you're not, right? Like, you're not professional. Like, just tell him I'm not a professional photographer.
Let me comment on that right after this. But is the 19 NARC monitor and shipment? No, I have it in my possession, actually, and I got to take it to Ralph. So I don't want to have him pay shipping for that. That's, extra cost. So, but we paid him there, and then I took it. But here was the thing, is like, even you said to Mason, you're like, Mason, well, if it didn't look like you were the paparazzi, we wouldn't be having this problem, because Mason's got headphones.
Because Mason came in with the gigantic headphones.
He's got like a pole, and he's got a backpack, and it looks like he's the paparazzi. So they were like, hey, you can't film in here.
So what was awesome is that when Mason went to the car, I think like Rex and I were just talking, and I was kind of like, yeah, that guy couldn't have really yelled at him that much, right? And then so like him and I were kind of just going, it's probably not a big deal. We'll just, when Mason comes back in. And then remember what we saw, like a couple minutes later, the same guy that was yelling at Mason was yelling at these kids. So what are you kids doing?
He was yelling at everybody.
Everyone.
So I walked over to the kids, and I'm like, because I was like, I'm curious, what is he yelling at these people? And this is, guys, we're talking about the Pinball Hall of Fame here. If you're just joining, we're talking about the Pinball Hall of Fame, our experience in there. And we walk in there, and then he's yelling at everybody. So he's yelling at these kids after he yelled at Mason. And I walk over to him. I'm like, hey, kids. I'm like, what was he yelling at you about? And the kid's like, he's like almost got tears in his eyes next to his brother. He's like, we couldn't find our mom, so we were running, to look for her. And then this guy comes and starts yelling at us. And I'm going, Jesus, what's wrong with this guy? He
was like, yelling at everybody. And the thing was, so when finally we got Mason back in, I'm like, dude, we're just going to film. We're just going to do it. Because at first I was like, we'll just use GoPros. And then I'm like, this is going to be lame. You can't, because when you're filming a show like this and you have a good quality camera and then you're weaving in GoPro footage, it's just obvious it ruins it. So I'm like, dude, we're just going to film, but we're going to avoid the guy. So like the most of the time, what we were doing is we were like maneuvering around him. So if we see him over there, we'd film over on this side.
Oh, that's what you had to do. I mean,
now if he sees it, what do you think he'll say? Like if he sees the video and clearly knows we didn't have permission, is he going to do anything at this point? You think?
Because
it's free publicity,
Ralph, like you
for
said,
them.
There was 10 people in there with cameras and their phones, and we're going, what is the difference between Mason?
Oh, you know what freaked Mason out? What we forgot to say. He said that he said the guy told him, if you film here and there's a woman or a child on the footage, you're going to get arrested on the spot. And so Mason freaked out because he's like, I'm going to get arrested, guys. The guy told me he was going to arrest me. And so,
He was panicking so bad. It was awesome. I'm like, Mason, relax. We'll take care of it.
It all worked out in the end. So
it all worked out in the end. Yeah, it did. It did. There was some other stuff too, but we did feel like when we were in that corner with all the broken machines, and if you guys haven't seen it, there was a lot of broken machines that were old and great. It felt like you weren't supposed to be there, which you said in your show.
Sure. Yeah,
but we were there.
Yeah. What was interesting is I went back and watched the videos of, there's a bunch of videos on Facebook of when they were making that facility, the new facility. And he's talking about the same guy that was yelling at Mason, because I think he's the owner, or technically the owner of it. He's talking about this back room that they have so that any new machines coming in or ones that are broken are going to be hidden from people. And I was like, well, clearly that went out the door. And the place hasn't been open that long, right? It's only
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So clearly that went out the door because all the broken stuff was just out just for you to see it,
Yeah. Oh, so Supple Wrist knows his pinball. That's the guy. He always wears a white T-shirt. I think he's got the eyeglass because he's always fixing the machines. And he was always. And then I think his wife, also, she yelled at me last time I was there. She was yelling at me, like I was playing pinball and talking, and like my mask was falling down my nose. This was before. Now they don't have mask restrictions, but they just pulled them. But, I'm playing pinball and trying to talk to my buddy, and the mask is falling, and I'm playing pinball. I'm not going to put my mask up above she comes over, get your mask up. I mean, she was yelling. I'm like, I'm just trying to play pinball. But I think that is maybe those two are owners. I don't know. Maybe Supple Wrist knows.
Well, in the video that I saw, he said he presents himself as I'm the owner of the Pinball Hall of Fame. So I think he is, whether he owns it with the family or whatever. But the first time I went into the original Pinball Hall of Fame, he was there and was actually nice. So I don't know what the deal was.
In a bad mood or something.
I don't
know. But here was the other thing I found interesting, and somebody wrote this in your comments in the video. I thought here. I'm sorry. I was telling. He has a storage facility called the Big Hit Shed. He's got about 1,000 pins.
Crap.
Holy smokes! Yeah. I told you they had a lot more pins than what were even in there, but I didn't know where they were storing them. So here's the thing I found interesting, and somebody wrote this in your comments in the video. He wrote, they don't take care of their machines that well. And we kind of experienced that, but before you comment, let me.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I don't think it's their fault, Ralph, because there's a lot of people trugging through there.
Yeah, and it reminds me of when we were at Galloping Ghost. I mean, think about it. Galloping Ghost, has 800 plus arcade games. He even said, he's like, it's almost near impossible for us to be at 100% operational just because, kids come in. We don't restrict different ages, so people come in, they're hard on the controls or whatever. So like, I guess for me, there were several machines that weren't working, but the only thing I would say is I wish they would tag them as not working so you wouldn't go over and try to, like, you and I experienced that. What game we were trying to play? Revenge from Mars. They have two of them, and one of them was just broke.
Yeah, one of them was almost completely broke. And then we played. We remember we saw Theater of Magic, and we're like, oh, I want to play Theater of Magic.
I know.
And we
started
really
playing excited about that, and it was no.
And the sound was jacked
up? Yeah.
The sound was jacked up, and we're like, and you couldn't
that
play
game
it.
Has
It was
awesome
unplayable.
Sound.
Yes, and it was just unplayable, and then we were so disappointed in that. There were some other games. The funny thing was, I went to play Whitewater, and if you guys go there, they have there's so many machines. Like sometimes you just pass them and you can't find them. Yeah. So I went up to the front desk. They got a desk, and I'm like, "Hey, do you guys got a Whitewater? Where is it?" They have this big manual with like the layout of the Pinball Hall of Fame with all the pinballs, and they said, "Oh, it's back in the corner." And I swear to God, I went in the back corner, I found it, and it was the only game that was turned off. Now some were out of order. It was the only one that was turned off. I was so disappointed. But Paul says, I still can't believe you guys were able to film into it. Well, Paul, if you just joined us, we just talked about that, how hilarious it was. They almost threw Mason out, said, get out of here. You can't film. But anyway, go
You
ahead.
know what
Ralph.
machine I was hoping they'd have? Because I hadn't really, I played it once and then I don't think I liked it. And I played it a couple times and I wasn't like a huge fan of it, which is a bummer because I love Back to the Future. I was looking and they didn't have a Back to the Future and I was surprised because I thought the first time I went to the Pinball Hall of Fame, they did. And maybe they do. Maybe they cycle games in and out. So it wasn't there when we went. I really wanted to play it again. And there was one other one that I really wanted to play again too, and I didn't get a chance to because it was broken. But
well, you know what you didn't show a lot of in your video? Like, I know you showed a lot of pinballs, but I was surprised in your video you didn't focus on a lot of the sterns. They have almost all the sterns.
Well, the reason why we didn't is because they were in the middle, and that's where he was.
That's where the table kind of is. That's where he was meandering.
So guys, I know a lot of people said, I didn't really say it in the comment section, but a lot of people said, how come you didn't show a lot of the pinballs? And because there was like Rex was saying, there's a lot of really great Stern machines that are newer models, you know, like premiums and pros. And I don't know if they have any limited editions, but they're all like the newer games. But the thing is, it's right in the center. And that's where you walk in. It's where their booth is, like their booth where they're hanging out. They'll answer questions. And also that guy. So I wanted to avoid that section.
Yeah.
So
it's good that people need to know you did have your problems with, you know, having to get good footage. There was no way we were going to stand there for a long time and just have Mason filming us playing pinball, you know, and doing a match. And just to avoid the controversy.
What were we playing? Was it
we played Mandalorian?
Yeah.
We played Mandalorian. We played Godzilla. I mean, we played a lot, but you know, for an extended period of time, those were the ones we played.
Yeah.
And that was good. But
well, when you come back in town, your high score is no longer on the Jurassic Park. So, and it wasn't
Ralph
because
wiped. You did it intentionally, Ralph.
No, but
you wiped my high score.
I did find out though there was a way I could have done that it would have maintained the high scores. I didn't know that. I swear to you, I didn't know it till after.
Ralph.
But it doesn't matter. You'll beat me again anyway.
Well, yeah, I know. We'll do it again for sure. We're gonna. But at least you'll beat me at Stranger Things because I won't know anything about it.
I hope so. I've been trying, man. I've been trying Stranger Things, so we'll see.
Yeah, look at what Pete Up says. Remember, this is Pete. Pete Ups was with me when I was telling that story. The lady yelled at me 1,000,000 times because the mask kept falling. I'm telling you, Pete Ups, you kind of get an unpleasant feeling, and you're like, you guys better have better customer service than this because people, you know, come in here to you know, just look at something. They'll leave right away if they get any uncomfortable thing. You know, there's a lot more things to do in Vegas.
Wouldn't you agree though that it became? I think we all kind of became a little bit more relaxed filming in there because when we first got there was when it opened, but toward like the middle, it got really crowded in there. So it was actually perfect because he was off distracted doing stuff. So I felt like we were able to be more at ease and film a little bit easier once he was kind of distracted.
Let me tell you how well Ralph plans his shows, right? he lands the day before or whatever. He's like, yeah, we're landing, blah, blah, blah. We're coming in, blah. And then he goes, yeah, then we're going right to the Hall of Fame. And he was like landing at 9. And I go, Ralph, did you see what time it opens? I'm like, I don't know if it opens, you know, at that. He's like, yeah, whatever, you know. So then we get there at whatever it was, 10 a.m. and it didn't open till 11. And I like wanted to look at Ralph and be like, you dumbass. I told you to look at what time it opens, you know?
Well,
so then we had to reroute what we were going to do.
When did I tell you I was going to Vegas? That was completely last minute. Like I don't even know what the show would have been. That whole last half of the show didn't exist until we think like a couple days before. So,
yeah. But I was like, look at least what time it opens, man. Do some research before you.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, we got time to go to the strip really quick. Well, we didn't even go. We just drove up and down and did some of that.
No, we did. We went to
Mirage. That's right.
Yeah, Mirage. Yeah.
Yeah, and showed Mason around because
that's where we got the shot of the weird. Oh no, wait, was the weird? No, remember he ran across the street to take the video of the Chewbacca. So we were over there and we saw the Chewbacca across the street and he ran across the street to get the Chewbacca shot and then came back.
We're like, that's the ugliest looking Chewbacca ever. I can't believe you put it in the video. I'm like, man, that Chewbacca's like 5'8", man. What are you doing?
His costume, it looks like it's like hair's been pulled out of it. I mean, it is the saddest Chewbacca. But the woman the woman was so happy. Did you see the woman in that shot? She was happy.
Yes.
It was like she met the real Chewbacca. So
yeah,
she didn't
loved
care.
It.
She didn't care.
That was funny. Then Mason did have some great foot. He had
He
so
did.
much more, Paul, that it just there wasn't enough time to show it. He had tons of footage, tons of B-roll. I wish there was like a video, you don't want him to have to do more stuff, but he could literally put a video on a channel and be like, my experience in Vegas, and
we'll reuse because like I'm even in my my videos I've been publishing, I have a drive filled with all of our Galloping Ghost footage, and a lot of times we kind of made it a point to film certain cabinets. Like I was like, let's just film as many cabinets as we can.
Yeah.
So now if I'm doing a video and I want to reference like, I don't know, something odd, like I don't know, like one of the Stern actual arcade games or something, like the Three Stooges or something random. I have footage of that now. So so we have all this footage that maybe won't show up. It'll show up in like some of my videos later on down the road, which is cool.
Yeah. What casino, Supple Wrist? I need to know that has a nice Stern lineup.
That'd be cool.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Does he know, if he's in Vegas, does he know what that whole story I've been reading up on where there's some guy who supposedly it's a cryptocurrency guy who made a bunch of money off crypto, who lives in Vegas, who he's the one that they've said bought all those captain's auctions, not the captain's auctions, the what was it, Pinball Museum,
the Texas one, wasn't it down?
No,
the museum.
Remember the museum that closed in Banning?
Yes. Yeah.
Supposedly he bought up like a ton of stuff, and they figured out, I guess, or someone figured out that was the guy. And so supposedly he's opening up a huge arcade in some floor in a casino that's no longer there. So I don't know if someone... Oh, he's not in Vegas.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think... Okay, he's not in Vegas. But people have heard that story, Ralph, that you're talking about with this guy who's been driving up all the prices because he's buying them all.
Yeah. Well, and there's a guy that I'm friends with that lives in Vegas too, and he's tried to talk to him about, because we were like, I'm like, hey man, we should see where he has all these games, because that would be really cool for chasing nostalgia. And he contacted him on my behalf, and he was just like, dude, he has no interest. He goes, I don't want people knowing where my games are.
Yeah.
so that was it.
Right. Yeah. Okay, we got questions pouring in, Ralph. Did you try the Judge Dredd prototype that lives in Galloping Ghosts? That's my other dream machine. Do you remember that?
I didn't know there was a Judge Dredd prototype. Maybe I missed that one. I know if it was in their little pinball room. I mean, they had a Judge Dredd, but I didn't know there was a prototype. I don't know if I have that.
Okay, you could get another episode of Chasing Nostalgia with just you guys reflecting on last year's episodes.
So we actually thought about that. We're maybe going to do some kind of like behind the scenes thing where we kind of talk about, like, we use the footage we didn't use in the shows to talk about things that happened. Because there's funny stuff. Like there's parts where I'm like kind of getting mad at Mason, or he's getting mad at me that the camera's rolling for. That would be really funny. Because
you guys need like a third. You need like a third cameraman who just films like when Mason's not filming. Your guys' debacles of arguing and.
Dude, I would, but this thing's shoestring budget, man.
Well, I'm saying that would be
I'd
like
have to get some kid off the street and be like, hey man, just carry this camera all day. If the battery goes off, just put this in and just keep filming.
I mean, it's not unlimited, budget. So
I see a question about, is the Road Blasters. The Street Fighter is not down, but I'm having some issues with the I put the Mr. Cade in it, and then I just took the Mr. Cade out and tried to put my Street Fighter board back in, and I had to change like the horizontal sync, so it's working. I just need to I have to pull it out, and that's why it's down. And the Road Blasters just makes a lot of noise because I put a fan in it, because that PCB is really old, so I put a fan in to sort of get some of the hot air out and keep the circulation going. It's just so loud, it picks it up on the mic.
Oh, okay. Little confusion here. Talking about the arcade beat 'em up. I know Galaga is the only place I've seen it. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember a Judge Dredd beat 'em up? See, I was thinking the same thing.
Probably. We saw so many. There's just, you have to. All I can say is, if you're ever interested in going there, you gotta spend at least a whole day there, because and take a break, like leave, go get food, and come back, because you couldn't possibly see everything in one day, especially because every time you turn somewhere, it's like, oh man, I don't even know what that game is. It was like some game that they imported from Japan that never saw, a release in the United States. So yeah, you gotta take the time to go there. I feel like I didn't get the true experience, that I could have if I had more time.
Yeah. Okay, we got a couple of questions coming in, which I want to get to, but I want to talk about. So after or during, we went to the CRT place.
That was awesome.
And,
that was really cool.
You were nervous. You were like, you're like, Rex is waiting. Because I didn't tell him, like, hey, I kind of informed him, hey, I knew he was coming into town, and I'm like, hey, let me take you to this place. And Ralph, I could tell that he was like, I don't know if we have time. I don't want to go. And I'm like trying to convince him, it'll be worth it, man. Just come to the CRT place. So then we went there, and we pulled down this dark alley, and it was just funny because we didn't have the mics on, but
I felt like I was in like a scene from RoboCop or something. Isn't there like some seedy? Isn't there like that vat of? Isn't
like
there
an
that
alley.
vat of like the acid or something? Like a vat of acid. Yeah, it definitely looked like something shady like that.
So I'm like, don't worry, Ralph. I'm trying to like calm him. I'm like, don't worry, it's gonna be cool. You're gonna love it. And then we pulled this back out. The funny thing is we could have gone around to the front of the front office where you would have been like, oh, this looks normal. But I wanted to add like effects, so we went to the back door and knocked on the roll-up door and was like, hey, Elvis, let us in. And Ralph's like,
can I tell you something that Mason didn't know?
What's that?
This is crazy. You're never gonna believe this. He didn't even know this. I go, man, we were talking about, I want to say it was when we were editing it. I was like, man, I wish we had some Elvis stuff. And he's like, well, why? What is that? Like, basically he's like, what does Elvis have to do with anything? Like, that's random. And I was like,
no, part of Vegas.
Elvis and Vegas are like, and he completely no clue of that connection. Like zero. But I don't know. Is Elvis absent in the modern Vegas? Because I didn't see a lot of Elvis, really.
You remember, like back in the day, you used to see Elvis impersonators walking around all over the place. It's slowly dying out, which is sad. But somebody, Rainwater, I think, mentioned, he's like, that's funny. Ralph went to Vegas, and Ralph introduces him to Elvis. He like put the two and two together.
Rainwater was on a roll with the comedy. He was on a roll.
Okay, let's go back to some questions. I want to get to these guys' questions. Dreamcast Kyle asks, plans for the next episode?
We have one potential. So there's one potential in Minnesota, actually. So I'm not 100%. We haven't solidified anything. And the other one I'd like to do, but he hasn't moved his shop yet, is Joe Sabo just moved, and he's kind of living between two places, and his shop is still in New Jersey. So I was like, oh man. So I've really wanted to do Sabo, and the other one, I have 3 on the list right now, and the other one is going to TNT Amusements. I would love to go to TNT. I just feel like it's been done so many times that it might be more interesting to not do that right away and do some other stuff. So that's why I'm
okay. Next question, Ralph. How's the Mr. Cade? That looks awesome. This is rapid fire, Ralph. This is rapid fire.
I already had a Mr. So I just had to buy the Mr. Cade board. It's really cool so far. Like, I'm having a good time with it. It's fun. I have yet to do a video on it because I feel like there's a lot of details to it, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it and do justice to it. So, but it's fun. It is expensive though. I agree.
Okay. Rex, do you think Arcade 1-Up will include coupons to Retro 530 Sabos of Paradise for their QC's crap? No, I don't. Rainwater. I'm just, when you climbed into those little doors of the roof, did Mason make you do it twice so he could get? Yeah, I mean, everybody. See, why does Rainwater guys say? Of course, you got to do some planning because they shot him from the inside. Mason was already in there. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
Did you guys catch the thing where I made Mason put it in? I was like, you got to put it in, but no one commented, so maybe no one cared. When I walked in the room the first time, on the left-hand side, there was a silent scope gun. So when I came out of the room, I was like army crawling with the silent scope gun, but no one noticed it, I guess, in the video. It's in the video. Yeah, it's in the video. There's like a little cut of me walking out, and I'm kind of crawling with the silent scope gun like a soldier, but no one cared, I guess, but I thought it was funny.
I thought this was cool, the hidden temple of abandoned coin doors. Like I wrote during the show, hey, if I ever need a coin door, I'm hitting this guy up.
Dude, there's every freaking coin door. It's every pinball machine practically they've ever had. What I don't get though, and he didn't know the answer to it. I'm like, why would you replace the whole coin door to put the card reader on? That's what I don't get.
What do you mean? Like do it side by side?
Because they put all those card readers on their games. Yeah. And like downstairs, they had the Family Guy pinball. I asked him, he's like, that's the only Family Guy pinball I have. The Family Guy coin door, which looks pristine and brand new, is in that room up there. And then the one on the machine is different. It's still a stern, it fits the stern. It's like a Hap coin door, but it's somewhat different to accommodate the card reader. That just seems like a big expense, but I don't know. Maybe I couldn't figure out how to put those two together.
How else would you get the card reader in there? How else would they going to get the card reader?
I don't know. Maybe you have to retrofit the door. I don't know. I've never messed with those card reader things, so I really don't know. And he didn't know, so I just kind of I was like, okay, there's a room full of pristine coin doors. I mean, they had a Terminator 2 one, which those midway coin doors on the original Terminator 2 has the coin box and the coin door. It's like one piece. You know what I mean? It's like one big piece.
Yeah.
There was, so I actually, if I ever need one, I'm going to go get one from him.
Okay. Next, Ralph, would you ever go back home and revisit your old stomping grounds as part of the show?
You want to know what's crazy is I went to Rhode Island, not for a good reason actually, but we don't have to get into that. But I had to go back to Rhode Island just recently for a family thing. And there's an arcade, and I can't think of the name of it right now. It's in Providence. It's a pretty popular arcade, and they have 2 locations. And I went in there with my camera between, like, we had some downtime with some of the family stuff we were doing. So I was like, I'm gonna go check that place out, and they wouldn't let me film. They said I had to contact the owner. I couldn't film. So I tried. Okay. I tried while I was there. It would have been cool because the arcade was very cool. I mean, they had a row of Williams games that had like Bubbles and Sinistar, and it was like pristine. It was really awesome.
All right, take over. How about this one, Ralph? I'll let you answer that. Okay.
Are there any non-arcade locations you've targeted to feature? Yes. So that Minnesota, am I getting that right? Is it Minnesota? I think it's Minnesota. Yeah, there's one location it does have gaming stuff, but it's more going down that path of more into the chasing nostalgia, like more nostalgia stuff, but less arcade stuff. So that episode, if we did it, would be very heavy on non-arcade stuff. It would be there, but just not as much.
Okay. Also asks, have you debated doing crowdfunding for future videos?
Yes. Actually, and we're gonna figure that out for the next. It's either gonna be for this one or the next one, but I'm trying to come up with like really cool things that you would get as part of the crowdfunding. Like you'd get early stages, but I was thinking like designing a really cool gift box that says "Chasing Nostalgia." You open it up, there's like a T-shirt and a poster and like cool things in it. So we're trying to figure that out.
Yeah, that would be good because it's expensive, man. It's a lot of work and it's costly. And,
dude,
everybody enjoys it.
Pull up the Charlie Chuck one because there's a really funny story to this. And I'm so bummed. Yet?
Hold on. Charlie Chuck. I learned that Ralph can't golf.
Okay, check this out. I'm so mad that this didn't happen on camera. So it's me, it's Cole, it's Mason, and Mason's kind of getting ready to start filming. I didn't know he wasn't filming yet. So I'm like, Cole, I'm just going to take a practice shot. And we had one other guy that works there, but he didn't want to be on film. He was awesome, by the way. I wish he would have been on film. So I take the shot, freaking hole in one, and we're all like, oh! And I turn around, I'm like, Mason, did you get that? Did you get that? He's like, the camera's not on. I'm like, son of a bitch!
Oh, that's funny.
But we were all stoked because I suck at mini golf. I was like, this is awesome. But
well, you made yourself sound good in the video. You're like, hey, man, you said something about
it's a video.
All right. Swole Pitbull Dad, what's up, man? I think you're not talking to me with that comment because obviously.
No, but he talks to me all the time like that. So very much appreciated.
Whoa, what is up? Turbo Joe, you missed the Amico talk.
Turbo
it's
Joe?
your favorite.
I don't want to upset Turbo Joe, so don't get back on the hill. Rewind it and get triggered later. I don't want him to get upset.
Okay, there's a question. Did the arcade graveyard guys seem open to selling? I mean, he gave you the one to test. I mean, I'm sure he wants it back.
So I just went back there the other day and I took another board. So I saw a Konami board and I was like, hey, can I take this board? And he gave it to me. So Konami, if it's not labeled, there's like a Konami, you can look it up. You can say like Konami PCB identification list, and there'll be like a print on the board. It'll say like GCUW something. It's not that, but it's something like that. And it was actually a G.I. Joe. It didn't work though.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but it was a G.I. Joe.
Would like that.
I actually talked to Scarlett. I'm like, hey, if he lets me have it, do you want it for parts? And he's like, yeah, I'll probably want it. So
yeah. Well, get the Donkey Kong one for me, please. That he has.
Oh yeah, I know. I don't know if that works, but
it doesn't matter. Just see if tell him you want to test it next time you go back, and then
okay.
Test it and let me know. I need an extra one. I always want an extra one. I'm telling you guys, these. You know, Ralph, these boards are coming. It doesn't even matter what board anymore. You can't find boards even on eBay people selling anymore.
Or they're asking stupid prices for them because they know they're hard to find and stuff. I mean, the problem with the boards is a lot of them end up just like mine. I got a closet over here that the guest room, the whole closet, the top row in the closet is all PCBs that I've either bought or traded. And I mean, I'm not selling them, but there might be someone looking for a Golden Tee Complete, and it's just sitting right up there, you know?
Well, Tell him the
So-
problem with your Smash. I mean, how you couldn't get a Smash TV
Dude.
board. Just give him the 10-second version.
The 10-second is I basically tried to use a JAMA switcher and I broke my Smash. And then I tried to find another one. It was really hard because people are selling him for like $800. There's this guy, and I'm not going to remember his name right now. There's a guy that only repairs Williams boards. That's all he does. He actually in his house has like almost all the Williams games. It's really cool. But because he's a collector and he sells to other collectors, he'll sell it to you for a fair price. He's not going to say 800. He's going to say four something because.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you were Joe Schmo and you knew who he was, he would sell you the board for a fair price. And that's what a lot of other collectors do. Like Swole Dad, he does restorations. I know if I needed something and he had it, he would give it to me for a fair price, and he knows that about me too.
Yeah.
So it's just like the collectors tend to help each other out. Where if you didn't know, it's easy to get ripped off.
Okay. All right. Rapid fire, Ralph, because we got to go. I told Kim we wouldn't go long, and we're almost at an hour.
Yeah.
So I'm going to rapid fire this. Ralph, how many arcades do you have now? Just
22.
give him a good 22. What's this question? What was the name of that Providence arcade he wants to go tomorrow?
I'll look it up while
I
don't know.
You said it in the video, I
Oh,
thought.
Free Play.
Yeah, didn't
It's
you?
called-
Yeah. Okay.
It's called.
Would
Free
you
Play.
do an episode of Captain's Auction? I gave you that advice. I said, hey, that might be a good one.
I think it would, because that's a different side to things, right? Like we've covered collectors, and Todd Tuckey would be like someone that's doing direct sales to consumers, where Captains is interesting because they're acquiring games from collectors, from closed down barcades. So yeah, Captains would be really fun. I just haven't really like I've talked to the captain. I call him the captain, but I've talked to him over there about potentially doing
El
it. He's all
Capitan. You talked to El
is all into
Capitan.
it. I can't think of his name right now, but he said he's cool. He would totally do it. I mean, I think
That's
B Kong
awesome.
B Kong has filmed in there before. They're totally cool with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. What else do we have here? Oh, I wanted to show this. He says go to Coin-Op Cauldron for board repairs. All board repairs, supple wrist, or just certain kinds? Oh, here we go. John's Arcade did a tour of Free Play.
He did. That place is awesome. So that whoever runs that, I didn't get a chance to ever talk to him, but whoever runs that, they take a massive amount of pride in making the games, like the games are in good condition. They had and they had a row of all Atari System 1. So it was Marble Madness, Road Blasters, what's it called? Indiana Jones. What's the game? Roadrunner, and there's one more. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was the whole Atari System 1, freaking immaculate condition, all of it. So It's a cool arcade to go to. Yeah.
Okay. TNT, he says it can watch anytime. Agree with you.
Yeah, that's
Rob?
why I'm thinking, although I love it, Todd's awesome, and I think it'd be a fun show. I just think you kind of, TNT does they're like a reality show practically. I mean, he runs a business and a reality show at the same time. So it's kind of been done a lot.
Okay. All right. We're past our time. Sorry, everybody who's just joining. We've got to wrap it up. Otherwise, I'll never get Ralph back on. And
When
Kim
are you coming
will.
out here?
86,
When are you coming out here? So, because don't I
Soon.
have something for you too? I forgot. Isn't there a reason that you need to come out too?
Well, the reason was, just so people know, is remember I was going to buy that track and field from somebody.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll tell the 10-second story. I said, Ralph, does Dave have a track and field? Because I didn't want to build a shell, and do a repro. And I'm like, I'd love to have an original because I have a board, I have a control panel, I have the buttons, I have everything for it. I just haven't gotten around to doing it. And I said, save me a lot of time if and Ralph was like, yeah, he's got one and he doesn't even have a board in it. It's just a PC. Maybe you can get it from. And then he's like, it's a repro. And I'm like, okay, I was going to do a repro anyway, so I didn't care, but it was black. Like it was painted black on the inside. And I'm like, I didn't want to do any work on it. I was like, and then the artwork wasn't the same artwork because it was a repro. They didn't have the right artwork. Anyway, so now I want to get Donkey Kong 3, get a junior or a 3 because I'm my next. I want a 3. So you got to get him to sell me a Donkey Kong 3.
But see, the only reason why I think that's going to take longer is because, so David's hardcore into Pac-Man, and Baby Pac-Man, well, you can't really see it, but Baby Pac-Man was like one of his games. It was like a grail. It was like a holy grail for him. So I had to work on him for like 6 months for him to even like entertain the idea, because he needed to know how. He's a pretty interesting guy. Like he wanted to know, is he really that passionate about this game? Because if I'm not selling it to him. Like, that was the thing. He wants to make sure, like, he loved when he saw Rexer's video on what he did with the Donkey Kong cocktail. He was so stoked because that's who he wants to sell to. He wants to sell to someone that he knows is going to really like take pride in it. Like, if he knew he was going to sell it to you and you're going to butcher it and turn it into like a multicade or something that it's not, that would upset him. He wants to see, he's very much was entrenched in the arcade culture when he was a kid, and he just wants to see these things live on for other people to enjoy him. So he's a very good guy, super nice guy. And, but yeah, sometimes you have to wear him down if it's something you really want to buy from him.
What's wrong with Stanley the Bugman, man? That's a great game. People don't give Donkey Kong 3 enough credit. Oh, Swole Pitbull has a 3. Awesome. See?
Oh, shoot.
There's not many
he
out
might be
there.
willing to sell. Are you willing to sell, Swole?
Yeah, Swole.
Can we shorten your name a little bit? The Swole Dad Pitbull is a lot to say.
Yeah, and it's like backwards almost.
Just like
Swole
Swole
Pitbull
Dad.
Swole Dad. All right.
Man, he looks
Thank
big
you,
in that.
Conti,
Big in that picture.
Yeah.
His freaking bicep looks huge in that picture.
That's a picture of me, Ralph. That's not a picture of Swole
that's right.
Pitbull,
I know.
That's
when
me.
I saw you, I was like, man, Rexer's biceps look so much bigger. On live streams, they look smaller.
Doesn't look the same. I wear my shirt like I forget who that guy is on one of those shows. He always wears the Marvel shirts. Somebody knows what I'm talking about.
Were you wearing a Marvel shirt?
No, it's Tapper, but no.
I thought. Never mind. I'm confused.
When I had the NHL '94 shirt on.
Oh yeah, it was NHL '94. Yeah, that's right.
I had to represent that. Wow, that's a bold statement. That's a bold statement there. Okay.
Oh, so look at what he said. Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Wow. Okay. I kind of want the trilogy though. Like, I don't want one, multi-boards. Like, you're done with multi-boards,
yeah.
But, I see the benefit in it, but I kind of wanted to have the trilogy lined up. Okay. We got to go, Ralph. I'm sorry. Because Kim's going to yell at you guys. Yeah. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for the question. Thanks, Ralph. We'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, this was fun. Time. And honestly, it was really cool. Like, I didn't say this, I've said it to you in person, but it was really awesome that, honestly, that whole back half of the show wouldn't have been possible. I want everyone to realize that, Rexer picked us up and he runs a tight ship. He's like, all right, what are the things you need to film? Boom, boom, boom. He's like, we're going here, we're going there. And I wouldn't be like that. If you left me for a second, I'd be off wandering.
He had no clue. Like, Ralph had no time schedule. No, like I said, you didn't even know what time the Hall of Fame opened at. You were like, I don't know. I think it's open. Let's go. And I'm like, but and then we had to do parking at a lot of spots. So it was my pleasure though to drive you around.
It was fun.
Do that.
It was fun to get a little bit. We had a little bit of downtime, which you saw very briefly in the video when we were at that pool bar. We had a couple beers there. It's a quick segment, and you see us talking, but that was really fun too to just hang out for a bit. We were talking about the Super Bowl actually.
Yeah, it was fun. So, all right, good times. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining.
All right, guys.
We'll see you
Thanks
guys later.
so much. All right.